Real recognizes real, and no matter what they say, no matter what they do, they cannot break the spirit of truth and freedom that lives inside us. They can write all the articles they like, they can do all the hit pieces, they can send all of their skanky reporters to my house to try and catch me off guard, but I am smarter than them, I'm stronger than them, my mind is sharper than a razor and focused like a laser. They cannot defeat us, they cannot touch us. My brother, I tell you, I'm spitting on the camera, I feel that good. I'm not going to stop because I fight for freedom, I fight for what's right, I fight for the innocent that they are destroying, and I will not allow them to be destroyed.
The richer gets richer, the poorer get poorer. They're trying to eliminate that middle class, as we all know.
Whole internet shutdown thing, so that's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
They're just brainwashed into thinking there's an actual thing. And I was thinking, if there was something bad.
We had a couple of protests take place, but yeah, it's a judicial system. It's justice. There's no justice served. Welcome back, brother. It's been a while since we've had a chat. I think it's been 3 or 4, maybe even 4 years since we spoke last. It's always a pleasure having you on. Yeah, how you been anyway, bro?
I've been really good, man. It has been a long time. It's good to see both you guys still fighting, still going strong.
Absolutely, man. I just felt like, during the COVID times, I was called upon to, get my voice out there, especially with all the censorship and stuff. And then the same thing at the end of this year, the beginning of this year, after the Epstein files dropped and everything that's just rolled out, I was like, I've got to get back out there and start doing this podcast again. So, but yeah, I just thought if you could just start off with maybe telling listeners that have never heard you before a little bit about yourself and where they can find you.
Yeah, I am Holy Joe, back on social media after a long sabbatical. I've been at this like a quarter of a century fighting for our freedom. Started in 2000 when I bought my first silver ounce. Well, started a little bit before then, waking up to reality, but working at the Sydney Olympics, I bought my first ounce of silver right here for $5, and they're going for like 100 now. Bought kilos over the years because I know the importance of investing in real assets and investing in ourselves. But like you were saying before I give my whole life story, especially during COVID, I felt called to get my voice out there and to lead the people. And it's crazy how, man, in Canberra especially, I feel, what was it, hundreds of thousands, maybe close to 1 million of us marching together as one. But since the government took their foot off the gas with regard to restrictions and lockdowns and mandates with vaccines and masks, etc., it seems that the government has purposely caused division among the protest movement. So now instead of one protest where we're all fighting against the people who are enslaving us, people have been divided along political and religious and ideological lines, and they're pointing the finger at each other instead of going after the government, which is doing their best to kill us all. And I did take a long sabbatical from social media because I felt, man, so many years of streaming live and having my face in the screen was not extremely healthy. So I took time to focus on myself and meditate and, man, to reprogram my subconscious mind. But like you, I felt the call again this year. I had friends, training partners, normies, regular people talking to me about the Epstein files and how it's crazy, oh, they're all in on it, and you were right, Joe. And so I felt that it was time once again to make my voice heard, and we're back at it.
I couldn't agree with you more there, man. We were the same. We peeled back past couple of years to COVID. It was so full on with everything, psychological warfare and everything that we were put through. It just felt like we were in echo chambers as well with the censorship. So it was good to have that break, to freshen up, to rejuvenate ourselves and be ready for the fight now. So, but yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fallout from COVID and just how you see the world and what sort of damage has the vaccine done to people and the psychological operation that everyone was under. How has that affected the general population?
Well, the elephant in the room is the millions of people who have straight up died after taking these vaccines, and so many millions more who have developed serious injuries, heart complications, myocarditis, brain aneurysms, encephalitis, etc., ad nauseum. But more than the obvious physical impact, I feel that the overwhelming majority of the population who took the jab, they now know deep down that they got screwed, that they were manipulated, that they fell victim to the propaganda and the mind control. But for the most part, only a very small percentage of them have had the guts to say, hey, man, I was manipulated. I was forced into it. I shouldn't have done it. So many more of them are doubling down in their ignorance and are still, despite everything, and again, with reference to the Epstein files, and now it's public knowledge, it's mainstream news that the government is run by satanic pedophiles. But a lot of these people are not going to face reality because they cannot admit that they made a mistake.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how they haven't seen what has happened in the past. And then people aren't even looking at all the injuries. And it's just, like you said, just the ignorance in people. It's just unbelievable. It's so sad that they can't wake up to this truth.
You hit the nail on the head, Mitch, with ignorance. Ignorance comes from the word ignore. And in reality, anyone with 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 2 brain cells to rub together can see what has happened and that the government are doing their best to murder us all. But the only way that they can cope with reality and still live their day-to-day lives is to repress that into their subconscious mind, because how can they take their children to the government schools when they know that the government is run by pedophiles? How can they pay taxes to this putrid system when they know that that money's going to pay for biological weapons and even real weapons in kinetic conflicts overseas? What I've learned over the past couple of years especially is that most people don't want to face reality. In a way, COVID was the time of our lives for people like you and us, because we were not only vindicated, but the government's brutality and evil was put on display for everybody to see when it was made illegal for us to go and buy food if we weren't wearing a mask, where it was illegal to visit people, where it was illegal to do anything if you didn't have this poison injection. And in many ways, I'm making an assumption here, but I reckon you guys feel the same way that I do. You kind of get a little bit of goosebumps when we see the government cracking down with the next step in their plan, which is restricting people with an energy crisis. Because maybe, let's hope that if people are actually restricted in their real lives, they will wake up again like they did during COVID. But I've learned not to count on anybody in the past few years. I learned to focus on myself and to continue being a beacon of light, to do the right thing, and people are going to follow when you set a positive example.
Exactly right. I feel like you're that beacon during the protests when your inspirational speeches were like none other, man. Like they were really courageous, so much power, and I always felt them so like heavily in my body that it just resonated with me every time. That I appreciate you so much for that. But I'll ask this, like, why do you think censorship has changed since COVID? Like censorship with some people still getting censored, and then others that like are talking about all the similar topics we are, but they're not getting censored as much. What are your thoughts about that? Like,
yeah, I reckon a lot of movement, freedom movement people and influencers have low-key taken deals to talk about certain things and to push certain things. Like we have some of the biggest influencers who I see getting promoted, talking about how they support certain political parties, or just low-key planting seeds of division within the group, within people. And that's cool. I'm happy to have a platform again because I was taken down and had so many accounts deleted. And I'm doing my best to build this one up now. And I've had some success. I've only been really going hard at it in the past month. But I really feel that people who are supporting the agenda of division, which is dividing the protest movement, are having their content pushed more. And on top of that, when people post something divisive, it's rage bait. It makes people want to engage more and to comment more because it's going to be polarized with regard to the opinions.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's made it very difficult, the censorship. You know, even though they've taken the foot off the accelerator, there's still a lot of shadow banning happening and these sorts of things. So it is very difficult for someone like yourself to get your message out there. You know, they've sort of done a good effort to really quash it, and you know, plenty of other people out there too that are speaking truth. So yeah, I see some people speak as if there is no censorship anymore, and I just laugh at that because yeah, the shadow banning, especially on Instagram, is very heavy. You only get
Yeah.
you know, you got to be put in the algorithms and stuff, so they can quite easily keep you away from that, which makes it very difficult. You know, especially with no big protests and stuff happening. So yeah, it is difficult to get your message out there, brother, and you're a voice, like Mitch said, that needs to be heard. You know, during them COVID protests, you were the only one, like in Sydney, you were the only one that was speaking about the pedophiles in government, the satanic ritual abuse and these sorts of things, which wasn't getting much love too, I must say. You know, people at that stage thought that they could, we could make change through political parties, some of these freedom parties and lower parties and all that, which you're never going to make any change through them. Like it's ridiculous. So, but I think since then, a lot of people have now woken up to, yeah, okay, but the whole government system, the left and the right's corrupt, and change has to start with the people. It's, we're not going to see any real change through the government. So
You're right. But with that being said, a lot of people are falling for these minor parties like One Nation and other things. And you see some influencers like having selfies with small-time independent politicians and people who belong to other parties. And what I think has happened is that people who work for these political organizations have seen, oh, this guy has a pretty big platform. Let's try and use that to nudge people to get us some votes. But politics is a scam. They're all the most disgusting people. There may be a couple of exceptions, but they're like needles in a haystack. The whole system is corrupt, and we got to bring the whole system down. That's my point. And people got to wake up to that reality. For the most part, they're not going to. They're not going to. That's the brutal truth. People are still going to walk to the slaughter, and they're going to take their children in tow. I wish it wasn't that way, but I know that I'm doing my absolute best to wake the people up. Just as an aside, I heard like a story about the Buddha, and when the Buddha reached enlightenment, I don't follow any religion, but when the Buddha reached enlightenment in this story, he was silent for 7 days. And then some angels or some kind of entities came down and asked him, why are you silent? The people got to hear you speak. And he said, well, those that understand will understand without me saying anything. And those that don't understand will never understand, no matter what I say. But then they told him, but there are a few. There are a few, just a few, who are on the border. They know what's going on, but when they hear your voice, you will be activated, and they will be activated. So you must speak. And that really hit home with me, and that's once again why I'm coming back this year and rebuilding my profile on social media.
Yeah, exactly right.
that's good.
Yeah, you really activated me to start doing podcasts, and Josh as well. But like I was saying, it's like the courage you had in them protest speeches were unreal. But what advice do you have for truthers to find the courage like you have done with getting out there more and in like public? Even though I remember you had a few of them smaller protests going through the shopping centres at the start of the lockdowns. That was a lot of courage to do that. And just getting out there more in public to awaken humanity instead of just being online. And like, in what ways can people do this, would you say?
Well, it's difficult to coordinate with other people because, once again, everyone has different opinions on everything. It's tough to get two people to agree on absolutely everything. But I think that getting outdoors and focusing on your health, on your strength, is the best way to go, especially in these times when economic troubles are being pushed upon us. It's more important than ever to prepare and live frugally and to exercise and to train in the martial arts. Another reason why I took some time off is because I got my jiu-jitsu black belt back in December, and I wanted to wait until I received that honor to really go hard again with the protest movement. Again, it's difficult to coordinate. I feel the best thing to do is to focus on yourself. And with regard to online content, I would say to just smash it, put it out there, have confidence in yourself, and know that there are millions of people out there who feel the same way, and you are going to find it. I'm using like a fourfold strategy with regard to my content in the past month, and it's helped me. Gone from having very few followers to like doubling my Facebook account in the past month and getting a few videos to go kind of viral, like 70, 80,000 views. But I've watched some videos regarding Instagram content and Facebook content. Basically, spam, just spam. I'm doing like 10 videos a day. I have my daily to-do list, 10 videos a day. On top of that is the temple of reflecting mirrors. I have, like, as you guys know, 10 extra Instagram accounts. So they always share and repost, and it reaches like 10 more people. Third is niche. I have niched down to the anti-vax content, and I have like so many years of video of me just going nuts at the government on the street, you know, with thousands of people with me. And I'm using that to, again, build my profile. And also is the clipping strategy. So if you got like a 1 minute video, make it into 6, 10-second videos and post all of them. And I'm sure we're going to have some bangers out of this interview as well that we're going to clip together. What I would say is have faith in yourself, believe in the truth. I don't want to say your truth because I think the truth is singular and eternal, and there's no such thing as your truth or my truth. There is one truth, but we know the truth, and that's the government is evil. Do that, and you will find your audience. You'll find your people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's basically the message we try and get across, you know, when in terms of solutions and stuff is working on yourself and bettering your health, bettering your mind. Just all these little things are going to go a long way because let's be honest, the government spend so much time, money, energy, everything on trying to dumb us down, trying to make us sick, trying to poison us from every angle. And I always say we can combat that by being healthier, drinking non-fluoridated water, getting sunlight, detoxing. And one thing I notice you do a lot of is fasting. And you just recently completed a 7-day fast. Was that right?
Yeah, bro. 7 days, no food, no water, and no weed. The water was the toughest part. I do fast a lot. For like the past 9 years, I've only had 1 meal a day, raw vegan, and I've had some other extended fasts, but this was the most challenging, going 7 days without water. But I really wanted to purify myself and to know that I have the toughness to deal with no food and no water if it came down to some kind of survival situation. But people eat so much food, and the majority of it, 99.9% of it, is absolute trash, poison, seed oils, genetically modified garbage, fungus, natural flavors. I went to the shop the other day. They got natural flavors and everything, and you know they're not natural. They just say that, and if it's called a natural flavor, it means it might start with something natural, but they can do a variety of processes to it. That's why I eat raw vegan. It's the best, the closest you can get to purity without actually eating nothing. That's why I filter my water. That's why over the past few years, I've replaced my whole wardrobe with nothing but organic cotton, hemp, and linen as well, because it's insane the number of microplastics in everything that we consume. And you're 100% right, Josh. Focusing on our health is the most important thing we can do because they're trying to destroy us and we can't give them anything for free.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was just wanted to ask you about the fasting too. Like that 7-day fast, was your energy really low, or were you really trying to get energy from the sun and breath work and other things like that?
Yeah, I did a lot of research into it, and I did focus on getting a lot of sunlight, and I do a lot of breath work every day. That helped me a lot. It was really tough toward the end, especially just getting very thirsty and having like my mouth dry and my throat dry, but I only really started to feel that around day 5. But I feel that having several fasts in the past and just only eating once a day for so many years, it really prepared me for that. And it was very difficult, but I felt that it was doable, and I wasn't really struggling at the end. And I still train jiu-jitsu like almost every day. That was over the Easter strong weekend, but I didn't really reduce my physical activity so much. I just made sure not to have saunas every day like I usually do, because got to keep that hydration.
That's incredible. Like, I've heard of a lot of people doing these, but they always drink water though. Like having a 7-day dry fast. That's insane, bro. It shows you your resilience and determination. Like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
Bro, in 2012, I broke the Guinness World Record for the longest DJ set in history. I became the first ever human to DJ for 7 days straight. And I remember in the lead up to that, my mindset was, I'm doing this to do something so insane that no person has ever done before, to prove to myself that I can do the impossible. I did that because I knew I would be in this position. It's like 14 years later, and breaking that record, having it in the books, having the certificate on my wall, gives me such tremendous confidence. Breaking that world record was a lot tougher than doing a 7-day dry fast. And saving the world is going to be a lot tougher than fasting for 7 days. But I have absolute belief in myself. And of course, man, everybody has their own issues they're dealing with mentally. And during the time I took off from social media over the past couple of years, I really made a concerted effort to reprogram my subconscious mind and to rehash the traumas and the negative things that I've experienced, and to understand them and really deal with them, and to sit by myself alone with my thoughts and to contemplate the nature of reality and what it takes to be a good man. And through my contemplation, through my meditation, I have been self-affirmed and vindicated. I'm so happy that throughout my life, I've done my best, and I've really done my best to do the right thing, to be an honorable man, to expose evil, to never side with the bad guys, never to even allow myself a little bit of leeway. I'm doing my best to be honest, to be straightforward, and to be strong. That's what we got to do. We got to really rely on ourselves, not anything outside of us. This world, so many belief systems try to make people feel small and weak and disempowered, and that salvation can only be achieved through something external to them, and they have to give their soul over to something else. I don't know the nature of reality. I don't know what happens when we die, but I know what it takes to be a good man, and that's to be honest, to be courageous, to be wise. And I'm doing my best to embody those virtues.
Yeah, you just mentioned courageous. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about today was back in 2017 when you done your Anzac Day dawn service protest. Now, this is a bit of a touchy subject with some, but personally, I've seen what you did that day is incredibly courageous, and it really resonated with me. If I had more courage myself, I would have done the same thing, because, I strongly have them beliefs as well. Like, where we've got a lot of patriotic sort of Australians that are all about that day, and that day means so much to them and stuff. But at the end of the day, these people weren't heroes. We're being sold a false narrative. They were pawns. They were just more genocide. Like, they were just the depopulation, and they were just used as pawns to led like lambs to the slaughter. And what you did that day was incredibly courageous, to go out there and speak during the minute silence, and because like, wars are still happening, and like, obviously we've got the war going on over in Iran at the moment. It's like, why are we? Yeah. Anyway, I won't keep banging on about it, but could you just tell the viewers a little bit about that day and what took place?
Yeah, bro, I'm really glad you brought that up. For those that don't know, in 2017, after being an activist for so many years, forming the Save the World Army, live streaming every day. I was frustrated at the lack of reach. And what I felt even back then was the censorship. And so I felt that I had to do something, again, like the Guinness World Record, really crazy to get my message out there. So on Anzac Day, I went with one other wonderful warrior, and I salute him. You know who you are, brother. And he was working the live stream. And during the dawn service, after the bugle played the last post, during the minute of silence, I mustered every scrap of courage that I had, and I shouted at the top of my lungs, "The courageous will never be silent as long as these wars continue senseless violence. Stop the wars, bring peace to the world." And so I was violently arrested. Cops bounced my head off the concrete like a revolutionary basketball. I was charged. Think about this. I was charged and convicted of crimes in Australia for yelling in a public place, "Stop the wars, bring peace to the world." I was charged and convicted of offensive behavior, and resisting arrest, because, you know, I'm a resistor all the way. But isn't war offensive to you? Isn't war offensive to the millions of people whose lives are taken prematurely by these putrid pedophiles? That is what offends me, not some ridiculous ceremony where people are lionized for being sheep, for being lambs to the slaughter. You know, one day in the future, they will have Freedom Day, and people like us are going to be celebrated because we are the real heroes. My protest on Anzac Day took more guts than following the system ever could. And I'd like to segue. Recently, over the past 2 Anzac Days, people have followed my lead and interrupted the dawn service, but they didn't have the guts to interrupt the minute of silence. They came together with, again, one of the elements of the freedom movement, and they're going against another one of the elements. And a lot of people have some big issue with welcome to country. Now, I understand that it is a divisive tactic by the government to make people feel unwelcome, but people are falling straight into this division trap. And instead of protesting the war, they're protesting some indigenous elder for welcoming them to the country. And instead of having the guts to say something, they're just boo, 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 like they're at a football game. And the government are sitting back and they're laughing because they have turned people, especially, like, man, I'll be straight up, there is, through some Caucasian people in this country, a deep-seated racism towards indigenous people and to other groups, and the government playing them like a violin. And it's crazy to see so many people in the truther movement, in one half of the freedom movement, one entire faction is promoting booing, like the welcome to country is the biggest issue that we face, while bombs are dropping in Iran and Gaza, and people are still being murdered by the vaccines. The pedophiles are still playing on their islands, and people are concerned about trivial things. I wish that people could see how they're being played.
Yeah, exactly right, Joe. They're putting their focus and their attention in the wrong areas, and like you said, they're just not standing up, having courage like you did. Which like I was saying before, just the amount of courage you have in these public places is unbelievable, mate. Like, I wish more people would, and I feel like I have to at times stand up more in public and make my voice heard. But you're a beacon of inspiration, and I really take my hat off to you for that, because yeah, it really was the right thing to do during that Anzac Day. But that's what a lot of these patriots aren't standing up for, even the hate speech laws that have just come through at the start of the year. And like, we don't have freedom of speech anymore. And it's just, they should be putting their focus in the right areas and their attention and their energy, instead of focusing on the wrong things, like you were saying. And they're just being played. And it's so disappointing, but we can't, let that get us down.
Yeah, brother. Like, I've learned that a lot of people just want to go after the soft targets, and people want to, attack certain groups, but they're more than happy to get their Uber Eats delivered by those same groups. if you know what I mean. They're more than happy to put their children in the childcare centres where those groups are the main stuff. People don't want to face reality, and instead of going after the government, they want to go after the soft targets. Bro, countries don't exist. Governments don't exist. We're all people, man. We are all one. Like, that is the truth. And people need to stop seeing the separation between them and their fellow man and realize that there are other entities, other people who are doing whatever they can to divide us. United, we are strong. And I'm so grateful to you, Mitch, and to you, Josh, for inviting me back on your show today, because you two are wonderful, beautiful beacons of light for the people. You can see through the deception. And of course, we're not going to agree on everything, but you guys can see exactly what's happening. And I really thank you for all of your efforts over the years.
Thanks,
appreciate
mate.
that,
Yeah,
bro.
really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to, I think it was about 2014, 2015. Mitch and I were at a football game, like an NRL game, Parramatta, and it was during the Anzac round weekend, and everyone stood for the minute silence and that. And it was around that time where we were going through our awakening and stuff, and we were anti-war and could see through it all. And we didn't stand during that moment of silence, and we just sat there, and mate, the amount of filthy looks we copped and stuff was pretty extreme. But I mean, that's nothing compared to what you done. So that's, yeah, like it all.
No, bro, it's not nothing
all
at
something.
all. Like, that's a massive thing that you guys did, in a stadium full of 50,000 bullheads who wouldn't know about freedom if it slapped them upside the head. That took a lot of balls, man. And I didn't know about that about you guys. I have so much more respect for you now.
Jesus, bro. I just wanted to touch on a little bit about what's been happening this year in regards to this. Well, I won't call it a war because it's not a war. It's a manufactured energy crisis. I think that's probably a better way to describe it. All designed to further push this new world order, get us into 15-minute cities or to buy electric vehicles and these sort of stuff. It's so obvious, you can see through it. But I think even bigger reason as to why that's come about now is to cover up these Epstein files that were released. What do you think about that?
Most definitely, man. They were copping so much scrutiny for doing what they do, raping and cannibalizing children. They had to start another conflict. Of course, this has been planned for decades, but exactly like you said, it is an engineered crisis designed to deliver an illusion of scarcity when there is so much abundance in this world. But that abundance is choked off by the people in positions of power. I feel that they do want to slowly restrict us, getting us to a stage. I think what they want to do is have us download some type of app or have some kind of QR code to be able to buy food soon. And I see that coming. And I really recommend people grow their own food as much as they can and to restrict their caloric intake to toughen themselves up. I do feel that even more than COVID, the looming energy fake crisis will be used to depopulate the earth. And already we see so many people struggling here. Man, in Maryland, I just see so many homeless people everywhere I go, and people are struggling to pay their rent, to pay for food, to pay everything. And we shouldn't have to pay to exist. I'm no communist, I'm no socialist, but money is fake, especially this Babylonian money magic where they print trillions of dollars out of thin air while people like you and I have to work, have to sweat to earn a buck and then pay half of it back to these bastards in taxes. It is an absolutely insane, asinine system. But people don't have the guts to face reality because they are dependent on the government in so many ways. It can be scary to really live independently, to not pay taxes, to go against the system every way that you can, to withdraw from their corporatocracy. I really feel, once again, focusing on yourself is the way out of the looming crisis, just like it was in the previous manufactured crisis.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Point two, on my shirt, right here, I have created my own currency, the Holy Joe. That's 1 gram silver coins. Because here we go. See if we have the high resolution Holy Joe. I'm trying not to do the Illuminati hand sign right there. Because like I said, I've been stacking silver since the year 2000, and I've seen my wealth go through the roof. And I know it's time for me to share the love. So if anyone wants to get their Holy Joe, that is 1 gram of silver, they can go to the website holyjoe.au.
That's
I
awesome,
do
man.
feel, thank you, man. I do feel that the price of real assets is going to continue to go through the roof, especially silver, because there's silver in every solar panel, there's silver in every electric vehicle, there's silver in every bomb that they drop on the innocent. And every gram of silver that I have, every Holy Joe that I hold, is 1 gram that they're never going to get for their war machine.
That's awesome, man. I'll have to get some of that off you because I've got a bit of gold and silver myself, but it's always good to keep building a more and more of a stash because we know what's coming and we just can't be dependent on a system like you were saying before. Like we should have free energy. We should be like having the streets filled with fruit and vegetables, like. But it's not the life that we have. But it's the life we should have, and a lot of people are just ignorant and don't understand how easy it could be life, and they make it so hard for us, and it's so wrong.
You're right, man. There is absolute abundance, and the bad guys are just doing their best to squeeze the people, so they have to be subservient and fawn and suck up to these satanic scumbags. And, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, but it really makes me so angry to see all of the doctors and nurses and people who pushed poison during the COVID era still driving around in their fancy cars when they are guilty of genocide. It makes me so furious to see these politicians on my social media page saying, hey, I got the new flu vaccine today. You should get it for your children. Man, sometimes I just, I feel like doing something drastic. And I'm really glad I took that time off social media. Otherwise, I might have done something a bit too drastic. But I understand that maintaining composure, even in the face of all this madness, is the most important thing, because I've seen some people in the truth movement kind of lose it over the past few years and spiral into a mental health space that isn't good for them or anyone else. And I feel that could happen to any of us, almost happened to me. So it's really important for us to take time away from the screens and ground ourselves in reality.
Yeah, exactly right. Me and Josh were the same. We took a time off as well over the past few years, and it's really been beneficial to our health and just everything in our life. But yeah, some people just get caught up in the rabbit holes and all that's going on in the world, and yeah, it's definitely not good for their health.
Yeah, man, like I feel for everybody because we're all looking for the truth, but we got to understand that the truth is in here. The kingdom of heaven is inside you.
100%. And yeah, bro, like just to touch back on what you were talking about before, like you said you've been working on yourself, and there's some things happen that have enraged you, and if you hadn't been working on yourself, you might have taken more of a negative route in that situation. And I think you're a massive target on, like, the media has smashed you over the years. So yeah, you got to be really careful, bro, because they know what you bring to the table and the courage you have, and there's no doubt they're scared of you. I think of so many hit pieces that the media have done on you. It's been insane. Like, and like I was watching one that you posted the other day, and I think they even mentioned you in the same breath as that man Monis guy that held up the Lint Cafe. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Honestly, like
Yeah, bro, that's exactly
that's what
right.
it's all about. Like, they're trying to, get this domestic terror, like make us out as if we're domestic terrorists, and then lump us in with like real terrorists. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that video perfectly, brother, because A Current Affair put that video out on Anzac Day, 2017, the night I made my historic protest. And the police commissioner of this state, the Jabba the Hutt lookalike, Mick Fuller, he called me a terrorist. He called me a terrorist on national TV for yelling, "Stop the war, bring peace to the world." And they had the spooky music, and they compared me to this Monas character who supposedly shut up a Sydney cafe in some kind of false flag attack. Again, painting a man of peace as a terrorist. But, bro, that was 9 years ago, and I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm still talking to you champions, because real recognizes real. And no matter what they say, no matter what they do, they cannot break the spirit of truth and freedom that lives inside us. They can write all the articles they like. They can do all the hit pieces. They can send all of their skanky reporters to my house to try and catch me off guard. But I am smarter than them. I'm stronger than them. My mind is sharper than a razor and focused like a laser. They cannot defeat us. They cannot touch us. My brother, I tell you, I'm spitting on the camera. I feel that good. I'm not going to stop, because I fight for freedom. I fight for what's right. I fight for the innocent that they are destroying, and I will not allow them to be destroyed.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's inspirational,
love
man.
the passion.
Yeah.
Well, look, we won't keep you too much longer, Joe. There's just so much to talk about. I just wanted to, one thing I come across too, uh, back in 2011, I think it was, when you were the pizza delivery boy, and you were jumped by a man with a gun and a knife, was it?
Bro, that video was from 2011, but I was being interviewed in 2011 about something that happened when I was 18 years old. So I think
Wow.
the actual incident happened, I think it was in 2001, from memory.
right.
Yeah. So I used to deliver pizza on in Maryland, and this was a Saturday night, and it was the last delivery of the night. And so I went down to the place in Maryland, and my old car, the starter motor was busted. So sometimes it would take banging it with a hammer to restart it. So I just left the car running out the front of the block of flats on Newman Street here in Maryland. I went up and knocked on the door, and some lady, and she didn't open the door, but she said from behind, "What do you want?" I said, "Your pizza's here." She said, "We didn't order any pizza." I said, "You sure? Is this so-and-so address?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "All right." So I went back down to my car, and I opened the door, and I heard something behind me. So I turn around, and a guy comes out of the bushes with a balaclava on, and he's pointing a gun at me. He says, "Give me your money, drop your bum bag, I'm going to kill you." And so I didn't train jiu-jitsu back then, but I still had the spirit of courage and resistance in my heart. So I said, "Bring it on." So this guy took a knife out of his pocket, starts running at me, just swinging haymakers. I got smashed there, lost like 4 teeth, got cut up on my wrist. But this guy was a little bit shorter than me, and somehow ended up where underneath the block of flats in the car park, and I've got him up against the wall, his wrists like pinned like this, and I'm kneeing this guy in the balls, screaming, "Someone come, help, help." This guy's like, "Man, let me go. I'm sorry." This guy said, "I'm sorry. I tried to rob you. Let me go. You're never going to see me again." I'm like, nah. I just kept kneeing him in the balls. He said to me, now, I don't follow any religion, but I'll tell you the story exactly how it happened. I haven't mentioned this detail in public discourse previously, but this guy said to me, "Let me go. I swear on the Quran, if you let me go, you're never going to see me again." So I pushed him away, and he's like 2 meters away from me. He's like, I need that money, man." I said, "You better get out of here." And so he goes, "I'm taking your car then." This is what he said, "I'm taking your car then." So he runs after the car, goes, opens the door. I run after him, and he just does the bolt. And so my face is like so like smashed up. I got back in the car and drove back to the pizza shop, and my boss's jaw just like hits the ground. He's like, "What happened to you?" Calls the ambulance. He goes, "Go look in the mirror, wrap your face up." Like this whole part of my face was hanging down on my neck. You see all the busted up teeth and bone through there. And so the ambulance came, took me to the hospital. They stitched me up. And when the cops came to interview me that night, they said they found a magazine clip from the gun where we were fighting. So when he's hit me with the gun here, apparently the clip has fallen out. So I always said, that I'm really glad that I stood my ground in that instance. I had less than $20 in change on me, but obviously it wasn't about the money. It was about my own integrity and not being scared and not backing down. And I'm not sure if I would recommend, my 5-year-old nephews to do the same thing if they're in an armed altercation. But I knew that was very prophetic for me. And it gave me the courage to know that I can stand against evil and I can hold my own. And Shakespeare said, cowards die 1,000 deaths, the valiant taste of death but once. And I feel that translates to our lives in general. People who are cowardly and who know that the government are evil, yet go along with the system, every day they die a little bit inside because they know that they're not having integrity. But Josh, Mitch, you guys and myself, we will never die. We are eternal. We live with integrity, and no one can take that away from us. They can take away all types of material things, all types of creature comforts, but our own internal strength is ineffable. It is eternal.
Wow, what an incredible story, bro. I heard that the other day, and I'm like, oh wow, I've got to bring that up on the chat. Like I had no idea you
I'm
went
glad you
through
did.
that. It was that's insane, bro.
Yeah,
Crazy.
so
Yeah, to
so
be honest, man, it
heroic,
made me
man.
very angry for a few years. It made me very angry for a few years because I tried to get, workers' compensation. I got stabbed at gunpoint. So I thought, I might deserve some kind of compensation. But after jumping through so many hoops, seeing so many diabolical doctors, after like 3 years of jumping through all these hoops, you know how much money they gave me? They gave me 10 grand when somebody who spills a cup of coffee on themselves at McDonald's can get millions. And in a way, that really set me on the path of knowing that the system is corrupt.
It was a major rite of passage and such a heroic moment in your life. I can think of similar moments that I've had in the past. They define us. That's what a lot of people got to realise that we're in right now. And if you haven't stood up out there or showed courage or against the system, it's time to show that courage and stand up like we have. But you don't have to do podcasts, but just speaking to people that you know more or just taking on things that we've said in this podcast and
Yeah, being a good example.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we inspire each other because, there's a proverb that says, you can't wake somebody who's pretending to be asleep. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now.
Yeah.
No matter what evidence you show them, again, the Epstein files has become mainstream news.
Mm.
They don't care because they're ignoring reality. But taking time to sit with yourself and really contemplate how this world works and what it takes to be a good person, that's the best thing that people can do. And as you lift yourself up, more people are going to be drawn to you like moths to a flame.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
Well said. Yeah. Leave us on a motivational speech, one of your best, Joe, for people to acknowledge they still have power to shape their future and not give up and not lose hope.
Yeah, brother. I'm talking to you, the viewer, right now. I know that we are facing an insane reality. The people who pretend to protect us are pedophiles. They murder and rape and cannibalize children. And these are the same ones who hold the reins of power in political office. I know it can seem that the whole world is against you. Even your friends, even your family think that you're crazy. But you know the truth. You know what's right. You know that it takes a real man, a real woman to stand up against evil. And that's exactly what I'm calling all of you to do right here today, to take a stand in your personal life, to withdraw from the evil systems that seek to strangle us. We will not be crushed. We will not be suppressed. We will not be oppressed. We will not be depressed. We are going to bench press these belligerent buffoons up off of us, and we are going to leave a better world for the future generations. We will not allow them to build their worldwide AI dystopian grid. We are bringing them down. Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. We'll have to do another one soon.
Boys, thank you so much.
Our pleasure, Joe. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I love your energy. It's always a fire show, and I'm sure all the listeners will get a lot out of this one.
Thank you so much, man. And hit me up with your address, because I'm going to send you guys some free Holy Joe so you can add to your stack. I really want to thank you so much for continuing to fight the good fight. Josh and Mitch, let me tell you, my brothers, we will be victorious.